Thanks for joining me. I'm Megan, and this practice is for what is commonly called the ulnar nerve entrapment. So your ulnar nerve comes down into your pinky and ring finger. If you have numbness, coldness, tingling in that area, it might be this ulnar nerve impingement. It's also called Cubital Tunnel Syndrome. It's the lesser known syndrome other than the carpal tunnel, which you get in your wrist. But the end all way of knowing if that's what you've got going on is if you touch your funny bone and it's really sore, like you have a bruise there, that's generally a sign of this cubital tunnel syndrome. So the ulnar nerve goes from your C7 and C8. So in your neck, all we need to know is all these nerves, all three of your main peripheral nerves that we work with in the arm, go from your neck and your first thoracic vertebrae down through your upper arm. And here's where it gets a little catchy. It goes into this cubital tunnel. That's where you might feel that pain in your elbow. Goes all the way down. And then we also have Gunyon's canal right down here. And sometimes we have more of an issue down in the wrist, so the impingement can be there. Doesn't really matter. The way I'm going to approach this practice is a full practice for all of the nerves in both arms. So if you have something going on in just one, feel free to just do one half, although we're going to start by addressing both arms. You will need a block and several balls of different sizes. I've got a bigger black one. A tennis ball is a nice size. And then something smaller. And this one happens to be like golf ball size, but sticky. So it's a great little ball. And if you don't have this, you can also use like a rolled towel for when we're doing that part. So we'll start with a general mobilization. And as I'm doing this, I'm going to explain there's different terms for what we call nerve gliding or nerve flossing. So let's do a general nerve mobilization. Take the backs of the hands together, press them together as much as you can comfortably, and lift the elbows up to about the height of the armpits. And stretch your thumbs away, stretch your fingers away from one another as wide as you can, and begin to slowly extend through the elbows. So the elbows are in flexion. By the way, that's often what is painful when we have this ulnar nerve impingement is flexing that elbow. So come into a straight elbow, keep the wrists in flexion until your elbows are completely straight, then slowly take the hands out so the wrists are also in extension, and then take them as wide and far back as you can comfortably. So this is a little assessment too for yourself, keeping those fingers spread apart. We come back in, the elbows are still straight or in extension. Take the wrists first into flexion and then the elbows. Return the hands to the heart. I'm just doing a few of these really slow, like a little assessment for you. It's a nice way to begin to mobilize the nerves. So there's two ways that we mobilize the nerves. You'll hear the term nerve gliding. And this is the idea of moving the nerves as more of a way of decreasing tension. And then the other thing we do is we floss. And when we're flossing, we're looking to increase the tension. So if you think of your nerves like a chain, if you pull one end of the chain, keep moving with your hands. If you pull one end of the chain, the other end's going to pull too. Or we could actually, so instead of pulling from one end and taking it to one side, we can actually pull from both ends of that chain. So we do both in nerve flossing. We're just going to change the position of the hands slightly. So if you take your hands into like a prayer position, flip your pinkies upward and your palms out and your thumbs down. Again, spread your fingers, press the fingers into one another, so creating some resistance. Lift the elbows up and then slowly start to come out. So this is all nice mobilization for the wrists too. Come out a little at a time, still keeping the fingers together. The thumbs will part first, then eventually the pinky fingers. Then you might get to the point where you just feel your index fingers touching and your middle fingers. And then once you get to there, if that feels okay, so you're keeping that little bit of pressure, just take it all the way back, like you're taking a nice big swimming stroke. So you want to extend the arms before you go back. Take the fingers back together, come back to your heart. So full extension of the elbows, wrists into flexion as you take it back. And then wrist come back into extension, fingers towards you. So just the opposite of what we did in the first one. And this is just arms. We'll do another one just for the arms. Take the hands over your head and imagine you're weaving a basket with your fingers, and that basket's strong, and you can pull on that weave just a little bit and take the hands over the crown of the head. Watch your head doesn't poke forward. Keep nice and tall and just make some circles over the top of the head. Again, I just consider these warm-ups not just for the nerves, but for the muscles, for the range of motion and mobility in your shoulder blades. And you can go both directions, making those circles over the top of your head. All right, and then we're going to pick up any one of the balls that fits in your palm. So I've got a tennis ball here. It's just a fancy purple one. And we're going to play catch with that ball. What we want to watch is that we don't push our head forward. So you're going to take the ball into one hand, and you're going to take it behind your neck, and then let the other hand come in and get it. So you're going to have the palm down with the ball, and the other hand, the palm is up. Pass it, watch your head doesn't come forward, and then take it out, flip the palm up, and this arm can drop if you want. So you're literally just passing it back and forth behind your head. Start with that, and then start to watch the ball. So let your neck follow the ball. So this is where we begin really basic neck mobilization. If you're feeling too much tension with this one, any of these, skip them. Or if you find that, again, if you get too much tingling, if you're really increasing the tingling, that's the nerves. So if this feels okay, so right now we're slacking this end of the nerve because we're looking at the ball. Go ahead and look away from the ball. Like you just don't want to see that ball. And notice if you feel a little bit more stretching, is it still comfortable? Looking away from the ball as you pass it behind your head. And just notice the way you have to move your wrists in and out. Relax the shoulders as you come down. Last one. And then take the ball down. Now we're going to start to come into our tea party. That's what I call this one. These next couple moves is all part of the tea party. So the first one is we want to have a nice pair of glasses at the tea party. So you're going to take your hands, take your thumbs and index fingers together, make your glasses. See if you can get your glasses onto your face. I wish I had a picture of everybody out there. Draw your elbows back just a little bit, but relax the shoulder blades down. And just start from here. Create those glasses a few times. See how that feels, and notice again the movement of the wrists and the elbows and the shoulders. You're making the glasses and releasing the glasses. Great mobilization. And you'll find that these kind of problems with the nerves exist when we do keep the arm in flexion, or the elbow specifically in flexion too much. If you use your hands a lot at work, with any sports. So now that we've found that and it's starting to open up, keep your glasses on as you enter the tea party, and just go side to side just a little bit with your glasses on. And see what you feel. You can spread your fingers more. Trying not to grab my mic here. I can't wait to see what this looks like. All right. And if it's too much to move side to side, then you're just holding the glasses. And let's release our glasses. Okay. So now it is tea time. So with our tea time, we will do one arm at a time. So I'm going to start with my left arm. You can start with whichever one might be more annoying. So if you've ever had proper tea, we like to stick our pinky out. So start by sticking your pinky out, bringing your thumb and index finger together as if you're holding a cup of tea. And then if you were to bring that tea to your mouth, the pinky sticks out. So stick that pinky out and bring your elbow up. And just start with that. See how that feels. Like you're bringing it all the way up to your mouth. reaching that pinky away and your index finger too. And then it's almost like you're dumping it down in your shirt. Of course, we wouldn't do that. Dump it into your shirt. It's a nice little property. And it's interesting to me, I did a little warm up of these before we went on camera, and I can really feel it. So just a few, these are the type of practices. Instead of doing, I know you're doing one long video right now, but just doing it a couple of times a day is really helpful for these nerve impingements. So we're going to move on to the next one. So this next one, you're going to need a block. Sometimes you'll see something similar to this with a plate. So imagine this is your plate, and we must have our biscuits with our tea. So here's your plate of biscuits, and you're going to hold out your hand like any good server would. Put your plate on your hand and begin to extend up as high as you can go comfortably. And then take it down as low as you can go. And as you take it down, kind of turn it towards the center of your heart like you want to look at it. In fact, we're going to do that. We're going to look at it. Let your gaze follow the block up if it feels okay, and back down, and notice how we get the little turn of the wrist at the end there. You're presenting your biscuits. Get your glasses, your tea. Continue to follow it one more time with the eyes. And then see if you can look in the opposite direction. Part of it is making sure it stays there. And spread your fingers again. So I've got my block lengthwise on my hand. Whoops, if you find it fits better this way, it doesn't really matter. You're just finding that rotation. And you might even start to look down a little bit more and over to the other side. All right, we'll pause, set your block down. So biscuits, it's time to eat our biscuits. So I'm going to take this little tiny ball, and you will need a ball. If you don't have a small ball, you're going to use a washcloth. And you're going to put it between the pinky and ring finger and get it in there. So make sure it's comfortable so you can squeeze it just a little bit. And you're going to take your hand out to your side. So right now my wrist and my elbow are in extension. And as they go into extension, I'm going to bring my ear towards the left shoulder. So this is left arm to left shoulder. So this end of my hand is being stretched. This is slacked. And then I'm going to bend my elbow, and I'm going to bring the hand all the way around and bring the palm towards my face and elbow up. So try that one. So if you find it's too much, pull the ball out. You'll see traditionally people will just do it like this and here, and there's nothing wrong with that. I find I like that little bit of extra sensation of squeezing the ball and coming here. So we start by bringing the head, imagine a string between the left ear and left fingers, and they're following one another, going nice and slow. And if that feels okay, then start to bend a little bit further, lift the elbow higher. You can also, as your hand extends, so wrist and elbow in extension, take the head away. So then we're stretching that nerve on both ends. And then coming in. Moving nice and slow. All right. And let your left arm come down. Release the hand just for a moment. Place both hands up, palms up. We're going to finish with some rolling, but I want you to just already feel any differences in the two arms. And then for the rolling, I'm going to come down onto the ground. Easiest way to do it. You're going to take usually a tennis-sized ball. If you want something bigger, you can. Just take the ball right underneath the palm of your hand And we're just take some pressure into it and roll it around. So you can also do this on a table, but you want to get right into the edge of the hand. You can even go into the wrist. Roll it around. You can go into the forearm a bit, and we're actually going to do the elbow a little bit differently. So the other one is when you're down here, if you want to take that ball into your elbow and take the elbow down on the ground, or you can again use a table. I'm here in the studio, so I'm doing it this way. Squeeze that ball and then take your wrist back and forth as you squeeze the ball. If you want even a little bit more with that one, take that little ball back between your fingers, because for me, this one is the key to really waking up that ulnar nerve. And I'm going to keep the ball between my fingers. I'll turn towards you. Elbow is resting on something. You could also have it on the block. And back and forth. So I'm creating some sensation by squeezing the ball between my arms, upper and lower arm, and then just moving the wrist back and forth and gently squeezing the ball as well. I find that sometimes it's nice to make more of a circular movement. Check your breath. All right. And set those aside. I'm going to return to my throne seat because when I'm working with things like nerve flossing, I want to make sure the spine is comfortable. So hopefully you're joining me. If you're not comfortable on the floor, you're in the chair. Pause again. Feel the magic moment. The two sides of your body, fingers to your shoulders, just sensing any difference. And if you already did your grumpy side and you're done, thanks for joining me. Otherwise, let's complete the practice. It's time to have another tea party. So we'll start again with our tea time movement. So you can take your thumb and index finger together and stick out that pinky finger like a proper tea drinker and begin to bring your hand up. And as you bring your hand up, flip that pinky up. So you've got the okay here. Flip your pinky up, bring your elbow in. You can even lift your elbow. The more you lift your elbow, you see there's more sensation. And then take it down and release it. So you should feel some nice stretching right into the pinky finger. Start to go a little deeper if you want, like you're dumping that tea down the front of your shirt. And you can begin to watch it. So you can look down at your hand, lift up if you'd like. Super simple. All right, let's get the biscuits. Grab your block. Take the block in your hand, whichever way it balances better that you can spread your fingers. So this way or that way, doesn't matter. You can also use a plate. Take it up and then begin to extend as high as you can go. Just keep those fingers spread and then come all the way down as low as you can go. And eventually with that low, rotate your wrist in. Let your gaze follow the block. And if you're feeling too much, then you can keep the fingers closer together. I feel like this is a good little proprioceptive practice too. A little balance on the hand. And eventually, instead of slacking at the neck end, look in the opposite direction of the block and just see how that goes. Just mobilizing. Like those nerves are like little springs. We're gently tugging them and then they come back together. And we'll take that one down. Set your biscuits down or your tray down. Grab a biscuit. So this is the little blue ball coming in and it's going to go between the pinky and ring finger. If it's too much sensation, don't do that. Although you probably did your grumpy side first. Otherwise, it's right in there. We're going to take the right arm out to the side. Maybe you did left first. I don't know. Take the wrist and the elbow into extension. And as you do that, drop your ear towards that shoulder. And then you're going to begin to bend the elbow, take the wrist into flexion as well. As you do that, flip your hand around so the palm's going to face your ear, and let your hand come into your ear. So for now, I'm going to let my head follow my hand. Like imagine there's a string. And if you've got the ball between your fingers, you're gently squeezing that ball or letting the ball spread your fingers apart. Just think freedom in the neck. Where is that for you? And if you'd like, you can look in the opposite direction. So we're putting more attention on both ends of the nerves. Yes. And I thought this was my happy side, but something going on there. Last one. I'm wondering if you can hear my creaky shoulder in the mic too. It's creaking out of that shoulder. I'm going to take that down, and then we'll once again. So if you've got a countertop, you can just put your elbow on a countertop. I suppose I could show it right here as if it were a countertop. I've got a little spider going by now too. I'm not sure why I had to share that with you, but I did. And then with this one, you could take any size ball you want and put it underneath your hand. I actually got a lot more out of it on the floor. So I'm going to go back down to the floor because then I can be fully weight bearing. And you're letting the weight fall into the ball and just gently moving. And if you find a really sensitive spot, instead of moving, just let the hand collapse around the ball. Let the weight of your body, your torso, go into the arm. Maybe just moving slightly. So this is beyond just the ulnar nerve. This is just good, I would say good nerve maintenance here. Just rolling the palm of the hand. This time before we leave these, and you can do this again on a counter, take both hands and take the fingers towards you and turn the wrists away and just put just a little bit of pressure in there. Spread your thumbs. Elbow creases facing forward. This is one of the wrist stretches we often do in yoga. So this portion is all more of a myofascial and stretching for the tissues and the connective tissues specifically. And then come out of that, take the backs of the hands to the ground. Elbows start bent out to your sides and begin to slowly bring the inner elbow creases together. Spread your fingers, press the backs of the hands into the ground. And stretching the wrists out in that little bit of flexion. And I like to make slight circles with the body. Teeny tiny circles. And I'll take that out. So we do want to do the other one for the right wrist too. You can do it on a counter. I'll use this block here where we take a ball, any ball, pick your size, into the crook of the elbow. Squeeze that ball with the crook of your elbow. And if you've got the little ball, put it between the fingers. So taking it more into that ulnar nerve. So you're going to keep the squeeze on the elbow and take the wrist back and forth. Flexion and extension. And also do little circles. And release that. Coming back to a seated position, we'll just do one last one that really integrates, again, both arms all the way through the neck and the arms to the fingers. So you're going to take the backs of the hands together, backs of the arms together and elbows, and take them just in front of your face. Then begin to turn your wrists outward and your hands outward and come all the way back and spread your fingers again. And then come all the way in. So this one too is really great because you're using your shoulder blades. Think of squeezing your shoulder blades on your back as you open up and pulling your shoulder blades apart or away from your spine as you come back. Your arms or your lower arms are rotating outward and inward. And I imagine I'm holding two doorknobs or that you're turning a light bulb. And you can take your head and look one direction. You can even look down. You can look the other direction. Just play with the mobility in the neck. If you want to look up as the hands go out and down as the hands come in, or as I did earlier, looking towards one arm and then maybe the other way. So that freedom to choose without pain which way you want to look. And part of it is that neuromuscular, so if you've been looking out at the left hand, can you look at the right hand? Switch it up. And as the arms come together, look at the left shoulder. All right, and then take your hands back in. Palms together one last time, perhaps. Take them to your heart center. Hands and arms are an extension of your heart. Your fingers, your feelers into the world. We use our wrists to change what we're reaching for, our elbows to bring to us what we want and push away what we don't need. And our shoulders are the big, strong protectors of our heart. So take care of all those areas. Take a few breaths into your neck, like you're sipping something lovely through your nose. Say thank you to your neck. And I thank you for being with me today. Peace, joy, love, and light.